We are not bound by the earth. We are all radiant beings made of stardust. Once you know this truth, you will be forced to reach for your true potential. Some drunk fool at a bar. Zygmunt van Diemen's disappointment from the news stayed in the background because the accompanying joy which also came was front and center. His date for the prom next week and closest friend, Joy Eno, got back with her boyfriend Stefan Spader. Even with the couple reuniting, meaning that Ziggy was not going to the prom with her, how could he not be happy that his friend, Joy, was getting what her heart desired? His best friend's happiness was more important to Ziggy than going to a dance. Joy and Steph's relationship had been an on-again and off-again one for the last 4 years. Those two getting back together was as surprising as the girl getting her dream man at the end of a rom-com. This fact still did not change Ziggy's disappointment in not having a date for the prom. He was only going to the prom with Joy as friends, and that was all he wanted from their friendship. Ziggy made the suggestion he escorted his best friend to the prom when she was crying over not having a date to the prom. With Steph dumping Joy to go out with Molly Walsh, Ziggy thought that those two might not get back together before the prom. The young man who loved to dance and was looking forward to looking debonair in his tux. Plus the prom's name was Footloose and it had an 80s theme. Ziggy knew and loved all the hits of the 80-foot D from his parents playing them when he was growing up, and now always have either 80s on 8 or New Wave on the XM. Also, it would have been great to have his best friend to share this teenage rite of passage with. Joy has been Ziggy's closest friend since they met 5 years ago. Their friendship was strong as soon as Ziggy, as part of the welcoming committee, said hi before giving Joy a tour of the school. Ziggy thought going to the prom with Joy was as great and sweet as strawberry ice cream. He would be able to reminisce with his prom date about that good night for the rest of his life, instead of also wondering whatever happened to the lady he shared that special evening with. Now he would not even be able to get sentimental about his time at the prom. At least he would be able to hear all about Steph and Joy reconnecting at the prom. Joy was not prepared for Ziggy's response to her good news. She fully expected that her closest friend would be happy for her. Ziggs wanted Joy to get what her heart desired. She could not have envisioned that he would back out of taking her to the prom. That was for the night he was there to help mend her broken heart and agreed to take her to the prom. She was insistent that no matter what, neither of them would back out. Her Ziggs taking her to the prom just felt right. In her eyes, it should be him and no one else. Sharing was what made their friendship so strong, and that night was something special to share. Joy knew that night should be shared by those two. Even with getting back with Steph, Joy was dead set on keeping her word. There was only a week until the prom, so it would be as hard as ice cream kept in a deep freezer for Ziggy to find a date. If she knew that Ziggy would try not to keep his word, then Joy would have told Steph that they would not be back together until after the prom. Ziggs, you are still going to be my date to the prom. We agreed to it, so you will not be backing out. I told Steph and he was fine with it. Steph said yes to what he believed would not come to be, only because agreeing with Joy keeping her word made him look like he matured. That now, Joy's boy was putting their relationship ahead of his wants. In fact, the only reason Steph was fine with Joy going with another boy was he knew it would not happen. Steph did not change. The boy who was full of himself knew he would just talk Ziggy into not going. Agreeing also kept those two from having their first fight right after getting back together. Joy, I only agreed to that for I thought you and Steph would not get back together. It would not be right if you two didn't share your prom night together. A boy should be taking his girl to the prom, not the girl's best friend. It also is not right for you not to go to the prom. I want you there to enjoy that night. Joy wanted Ziggy there also to share that night with her. They have shared so many of the rituals of adolescence together. Those two had their first taste of alcohol when Ziggy snuck a six-pack out of his house. Ziggy was the first person Joy told about her first kiss, and Joy got the honor to be the first to hear about Ziggy's. The first time their heart was broken, the other was who was there to help mend it. When they got their driver's license, the other was the first person they picked up to go for a Joy ride. Their sharing of monumental life events was going to keep on going after high school. They were going to share moving out of their childhood home together. They both were going away to college at Villanova. Leaving home was a big step into adulthood, but neither of them knew anyone else they would rather share it with. Joy and Ziggy will help each other phase into their new situation and also share all of their new experiences with each other. I know, Ziggs, but the prom will not be the same without you there. It will be fun going to the prom with you. Plus, Steph and I will hang out at the after prom. I want you there. Joy, it is better for you to go with Steph, he is your man. Plus, you know that we will talk all about that prom many times. I love hearing all about the joys in your life. I want what is best for your relationship and our friendship. How can you think I could enjoy the prom if I am keeping you two lovebirds apart? A friend would put their friend's relationship over going to some dance. Fine, but I will make this up to you. I owe you big time. I am just saying you better be up early the next day, for we are going out for breakfast so I can tell you all about the night. 'Cause you are still going to the after prom weekend. Ziggy was right, those two would end up talking about the prom many times. Just like they talked more about the winter formal than Joy did with Steph, and he was her date. Her boyfriend only went to the dance because he was obligated to take his girl. That night meant as much to him as a person's Facebook photo of their supper did to most of the people who viewed it on their page. Jordan Kerr hated being normal for the sake of normal. He believed that too many people were normal just to fit in with society. He thought that too many people just fit into the boxes society put them in to conform, so they did not cause issues. Conforming held everyone back from their true potential. This was from people wasting too much time and energy on fitting in instead of being the wonderful person they could be. Trying to fit in stopped people from showing kindness more often because it was out of the norm to do so. Jordan knew people were kind by nature, and not expressing it hurt them from reaching their true potential. Jordan loved people, and that was why he was so against being normal to fit in. His goal in life was to make sure people found the confidence in who they were to shine like the starmen they were. He knew the world would be so much better if people just reached their true potential and helped others to do so. Jordan believed greatness was in everyone, for we were all made of stardust. That people conforming held them back from shining. Wanting to make the world a better place by bringing out the best in himself and others made Jordan fearless. Jordan's boldness made it so the boy has been wearing what he wanted to school since 6th grade. Sometimes that meant a skirt and blouse with makeup. His choice to express his feminine side when it suited him made some people call him a crossdresser, and other people saw him as a transgender girl. Jordan did not see himself as either because he was just dressing how he wanted to. Jordan also did not waste his time correcting or confirming their opinion on it. He knew some people had to put others in boxes, so he let them. The boy who was beyond needing to label others just was himself, and hope his brightness helped others to see the truth about him. That he was beyond those labels and boxes they used to sort out people. Jordan's abandonment of social norms was the catalyst of why him and his boyfriend, Dave Penkula, broke up. Dave wanted Jordan to wear a tux to the prom. Them breaking up led to Jordan not having a prom date. Jordan was saddened not by losing a date, but that his man was not confident enough in himself to be with someone who he cared for. Now they both were going to miss out on a great night with their friends because Dave wanted Jordan to fit in the box others expected him to be in. Jordan and Ziggy were lab partners in AP Physics. The Monday after they both lost their date to the prom, they were talking at the beginning of class. Hearing the selfless act which Ziggy did was the inspiration for a great idea for Jordan: ask Ziggy to the prom. Ziggy do the right thing made Jordan see that stardust shining from within his lab partner. Going to the prom with his friend made sense to Jordan. Before Joy got back together with that boy, Steph, his lab partner was going with someone only as friends, so why not Jordan? They got along good and hung out once in a while outside of school. Jordan also knew that Ziggy wanted to go to the prom almost as bad as he did, Ziggy because he loved the music and the style of the 80s, and Jordan wanted to go for he found the perfect prom dress for the 80s theme. That prom dress was the reason Dave broke up with him. Dave loved Jordan but was not ready to handle his man being in a dress at such a formal event. Dave wanted to dance with his man in a great tux. Also, even with Dave's friends were supportive of him being gay, he knew they could not handle being around Jordan when he was in a dress. He did not want to be an outcast from his social group at the biggest social event of his life. Dave just wanted to conform so there would be no issues between him and his friends. "Hey Ziggy, why not go to the prom with me?" This question led to a perfect example of how Newton's first law of motion could be applied to conversations. The outside force of what others would think made Ziggy unable to give an answer. He wanted to say no, but also did not want to hurt Jordan's feelings. Jordan knew that Ziggy needed some prodding to get the answer of yes the optimist expected. The man who was not going to take no for an answer forced the subject by saying, "Come on, it would be a good time. We both don't have a date and we both want to go." Jordan giving those reasons why Ziggy should agree to go to the prom was a perfect example of how Newton's second law of motion could be applied to conversations. Jordan's reasons forced Ziggy to give an answer. "Jordan, I do not like men like you do. I am flattered by the offer but have to say no." Ziggy's response led to the perfect example of how Newton's third law of motion could be applied to conversations. Ziggy thinking that Jordan liked him in a romantic way led to an equal and opposite reaction. "Oh Ziggy, it will not be a date. You are a nice good-looking man, but I do not like you that way. It will be just like how you were going to take Joy. I have the perfect dress for the occasion and want to wear it. I just know we will have a great time. Come on, you know you want to go. I hear you singing all those songs from the 80s to yourself when you were working out the equations during lab. Yeah, but we are both men. Who cares what others would think? We are out of here in a month. All it will be is two friends hanging out with couples. Plus, it was no big deal what others thought when it was Joy. I don't care what others think. It is just I never thought about taking a guy to the prom. With Joy it was just taking a friend. It will still be just taking a friend to the prom if we, and others were talking about how you two were finally getting together." No, they weren't. Were they? Ziggy did not pay attention to what others said. Most of his classmates knew any bit of gossip which went around the school. He swore that his high school would be full of Rhodes Scholars if they paid attention to the information taught in class like they did with rumors. He knew the world would be a better place if people did not pay so much attention to the innuendos which came from hearsay. Ziggy did not like the idea that people thought that he was only friends with Joy because he wanted to get with her. He felt that it sullied their friendship. People thinking he wants to get with her made them think he had a hidden agenda when he was just himself around her. Ziggy wanted people to see the truth in their friendship. It would show people the connection those two had was special, and more people should strive for that kind of friendship. One where the gender of the people did not matter. They were. Come on, would I lie to you? Anyways, it does not matter what they were saying. It did not change who you are or your friendship with Joy. Just like you taking me to the prom will not change who you are or our friendship. I just think we will have a good time and you get along with all my friends and I do with yours. I just think you, both of us, deserve going to the prom. Are you going to miss out on a great night just because of people talking about things they do not know? It will be great to escort you to the prom and hang out with our friends. The night will also be great because we will all shine like the stardust we are made of. It did not take long for the students of Mount Lebanon High School to know who was Jordan's new date for the prom. This was for the speed of a rumor spreading could be written as the scientific equation of S equals J asterisk P2, where J was the juiciness of the information and P2 was popularity of the people involved squared. In this case, popularity dealt with how well known the people were. Everyone knew Jordan for he was the boy who wore high heels. How juicy Ziggy taking Jordan to the prom made the rumor move so fast it had a sonic boom. The news exploded on social media and was actually approaching the speed of light. If it made it across that threshold, social physicists speculated that the rumor would actually travel back in time and start spreading before Jordan and Ziggy made the date for the prom. Joy was happy that Ziggy was taking Jordan to the prom. It made her feel less guilty about her best friend not being her date. Also, now he would be there to share that special night with her. Hearing who Ziggy's date was no big deal and she paid no attention to that fact. It would not matter if her best friend was gay or not. Also, Joy knew her friend when straight, she saw how her zigs looked at girls, that man loved the fairer sex. Joy knowing her zigs so well was why she got mad at Beth Bresnik for saying something which was not true. Beth was just joking around about how Jordan has finally gave in to that he could not get a good woman, so he got the best imitation of one he could find. The lady made that joke to get a laugh, but also to build up her ego. Beth's self-image took a major blow when Ziggy did not pay notice to her flirting with him. She was opening herself up to being in a relationship with him and it hurt she did not get the desired results. Beth actually did not like Ziggy, she liked how a boy wanting her temporary made her feel good about herself. Even with being the most beautiful girl in her class, Beth suffered from low self-esteem. The low self-esteem came from guys only being interested in her looks and, how Jordan would say, not the stardust inside the lady. It made her feel less of a person when none of the boys ever gave her a compliment on her intellect or personality. The quick fix to feel better by having some guy chase her because of her looks only added to the long-term issue of being seen only by her cover. It reinforced that men only saw her as a piece of eye candy. Beth was so much more than physical beauty. Like everyone, she was made of stardust. Beth really shined when she was behind the camera. That girl was wanted to be a photographer, even if it meant just owning her own portrait studio. The lip service compliments Beth's suitors gave on her photography reinforced to her that people thought only her looks mattered. The girl had the ability to go beyond the superficial exterior of a moment and capture its true essence. That was where the real beauty of life resided. Her skills was evident in the pictures she took for the school paper and the everyday moments ones used in the yearbook. Joy was not having someone joke about her zigs behind his back without them getting retribution. Plus, she wanted to make sure her friend knew that joke was out of bounds. The lady who was defending her friend's honor said, "You know that if Ziggy asked you out, you would said yes quicker than your panties drop when a boy gets you in the bedroom." Oh, fuck you. Calm down, it was just a joke. There is nothing funny about a girl enjoying sex. You alluded that I was a slut as joke. There is nothing funny if Ziggy likes men. You alluded to he was gay as a joke. They both didn't have dates and wanted to hang out with their classmates. Beth quickly dropped the subject because she knew that Joy would not understand the difference between the jokes. Beth was wrong. Joy totally understood the difference. Beth's joke was at the expense of someone other than herself, while Joy's was at Beth's expense. Making jokes at other people's expense was easy for people who were not spending their social capital to get a laugh. Yet these same people never want others to make jokes about them. Ziggy met up with Joy to have lunch and was so happy to tell her the news about having a date for the prom. He knew him now going to the prom again would make his bestie feel better about Steph being her date instead of himself. Plus, that man with a huge sentimental heart would now be able to reminisce about that night with Joy. Hey, Joy, we will be able to hang out at the prom after all. I know. You are taking Jordan. Joy did not ask her friend why he did not tell her earlier, for this was his first chance. Ziggy was not the type of person who liked to share important things with others via social media. To him, telling people good news was so much better in person than via text or on the phone. Being face-to-face was more personal, plus he got to share in their happiness which came with the news. Up until now, Ziggy was all calm when someone mentioned to him who he was taking to the prom. Jordan's words of wisdom about them going to the prom together changed nothing about either of them rang true. Remembering that he was the same person made it easy for Ziggy to just laugh at someone if they said something smart about it. This time was different. Hearing Joy say she knew made him panic. Even with not ever seeing Joy in any other light than a dear friend, he did not want her to think anything was happening between him and Jordan. He knew the panic setting in was not because he thought being gay was wrong. He felt it would be wrong for Joy not to know the truth about him. Their friendship was too important to Ziggy to have anything not out in the open. It is just two friends going to the prom, like me and you. I know, Ziggy. Joy and Ziggy were both happy when Vince and John came to the table. This conversation was starting to get a little awkward for both of them. The two friends who shared everything were not used to feeling a little uncomfortable around each other. Ziggy did not like how he was worried about what Joy thought. The best thing about being friends with Joy was Ziggy always felt free of judgment. Joy did not like that she was happy it was not a girl that Ziggy was taking. She took it as her thinking that none of the ladies which were available to be Ziggy's date were good enough for her friend. As the two latecomers to lunch joined Joy and Ziggy, Vince opened his mouth and said, "Hey there, Ziggy, heard about your hot date for the prom." John joked right back at Vince. "You are just jealous that Ziggy's date is going to look better than yours." Laughing, Vince said, "True, but with a face like mine, I am lucky to get anyone to be seen in public with me." "Seriously, Ziggy, it is so cool that you will be at the prom. We are going to have a great time. Plus, the night is going to be livelier with Jordan and his crew around. They're legends." Vince was right, Jordan and his friends were legends. People who accepted those people as just being who they were always had a good time when they were around. This was because Jordan's circle of friends were positive people who provided encouragement for others to be their best. They never forced anything on anyone. The naysayers would say they laughed too loud, were freaks and geeks and not in the cool crowd. Most of those naysayers were just jealous that that group was being who they were, instead of trying to fit in like the naysayers. Steph was driving his girl home along with Alan and Ian. He loved the news about Ziggy, for it gave him more ammo to joke around about him. "Joy, babe, aren't you happy that Ziggy finally is comfortable being who he is? Now, you two can talk about men more. Maybe after the prom we can double date with that fabulous couple." The backseat peanut gallery erupted in laughter. Joy did not like that Steph was acting like the old Steph. To her it seemed like her boyfriend changed as much as the world did on New Year's Day. "Steph! Quit it!" Steph did not take Joy as being serious about quitting joking around about Ziggy. How could she want him to? This was too good not to get laughs about. Plus, girls like the bad boys, and the next time Joy said quit it she will add in you are so bad. Sorry babe, I forgot how sensitive Ziggy is. I promise I will only compliment him in his taste of men. I told you to quit it. This is not funny at all. Instead of mocking Ziggy, you should be grateful that he backed out of taking me to the prom. He did that for us, and this is how you are repaying him. Ziggy is also the reason we are back together. He always told me to go after my heart's desire, and it desires you. Right now I am questioning why it does. Steph did quit right then. The boy who got his girl back did not like that she brought up them breaking up. He had a chance to upgrade and it did not work out. What boy would not have done the same as him? There was no way Steph was going to let Joy dwell on them starting over once again. The last thing Steph wanted was to have Joy dwell on the negative aspects of their relationship. The lady in the passenger seat was Steph's safety girl, the one he settled for when he did not get the girl of his choice. The man who thought he could do better knew as soon as she went to Villanova and he was at Pitt that he would break up with her. Steph already had it planned so they could hook up on school breaks. He would tell her they both needed to put their time and effort in school and the long-distance relationship was hurting her chance for success later in life. That he will always be there for her as friends and giving up what he wanted, being with her, was him putting her above himself. Ziggy had a huge disagreement with Mark Twain. The high school senior believed that golf enhanced a walk. According to Ziggy, one of the best things in life was being out on a sunny spring afternoon on lush green fairway with the trees and lakes. The scenery being as beautiful as an Ansel Adams picture and the simple object of hitting the ball with a club gave Ziggy peace. That was the main reason he was on the golf team, to enjoy a nice walk. The inner balance which came from him being at practice got a disturbance from his teammate, Dave Pankula. Everyone felt a little on edge around him. Dave was devastated that him and Jordan broke up. He felt that Jordan chooses a gown over their relationship. It was beyond Dave's comprehension how some fabric stitched together can be more important than the great relationship he had with his man. The man's, who was feeling like a writer without a pencil, devastation was worse when he found out that one of his golfing buddies was taking Jordan to the prom. He had to spend time with the man who was helping Jordan live out one of his dreams. Dave should have been the one helping Jordan to make his dreams come true. What made it worse was Ziggy was not interested in being with Jordan, yet was going to prom with him. That his golf buddy did not care about being seen in public with a man in a gown, yet the man whom man loved to wear a dress did. Ziggy being able to do what he could not made Dave feel like maybe that fabric stitched together should be more important than him. The least Dave could do for his ex was make sure that Ziggy treated him well. Ziggs, make sure that Jordan has a great time at the prom. Ziggy Dave, I will. You know that you can still take him. You should be the one making sure Jordan has a great time there. I would, but I want my man to be in a tux when we are at the prom. What is more important, the clothes or the person in them? I could ask the same thing to my sweetie. I mean Jordan. He picked that gown over me. Yes, but it is what he wants to wear. He picks what he wears and you pick what you wear. Ziggy pointing out that Jordan should be able to wear what he wants made feel like bad about how they broke up. Dave knew that Jordan should be able to wear what he wants and wished he could over it. The heartbroken boy knew that he was not letting the stardust inside of himself and Jordan shine. With knowing the right thing to do and not being able to do it, Dave quickly changed the subject to the next match. There was no way Dave wanted to keep on talking about the double bogey he committed in his personal life. Ross Herwig was standing by the classroom door in his trademark pink and black. The senior who was waiting on a friend, Jordan Kerr, had always wore those two colors when he could. If those colors were good enough for the best there is, the best there was and the best there ever will be in wrestling, then they had to be good enough for him. Those colors were great on him because they brought out his confidence. He was assured of himself since kindergarten to wear his favorite wrestler's colors. That fact made his stardust shine from him. Most boys that age would stay away from pink because of the razzying from the other boys. Ross paid no mind to what those other boys said. He knew they wrong about it not be manly. Bret Hart wore those pink and he was a man who backed up his words, stood up for what he believed in and never backed down. The man whose stardust shined by just wearing the colors he wanted needed to know if one part of the word in the halls was true. He did not have to confirm that Jordan and Ziggy were dating was false speculation. He knew Jordan's heart only belonged to Dave. Ross needed to know if those two were escorting each other to the prom. He wished it was true. Ross knew that soon his cast of friends will be going their separate ways and wanted everyone at the prom to make more memories to have about their time together. Jordan's warm glow was all that Ross needed to see from his best friend to find out the information he wanted. The man who was going to get to wear his dream dress on the biggest night of year was happy to confirm to Ross what was already new. Ross was happy to hear that also meant Jordan was not going to be able Seth's after school. His friend was going to get pictures of him in the dress to help Ziggy pick out the right corsage. It was an excuse to wear that dress, but Ross understood that Jordan needed to take any opportunity to wear it. Bill Kerr was waiting with his Canon camera waiting for his eldest child to come down in his prom gown. Jordan wanted the pictures of him in the gown to show Ziggy. It would help coordinate their outfit, and also for his prom date to get the right corsage. There was no way it would be the perfect coordination like his ex's pastel yellow suit, but that was fitting. Dave and Jordan were a couple and they should complement each other perfectly while him and Ziggs were just friends. Jordan did not know that Ziggy would be able to perfectly coordinate his suit with the dress. He owned the same suit as Jordan's ex did. Bill could not be any prouder of Jordan than he was today. His child's heart was broken by his boyfriend because of Jordan picking out the perfect gown. Still, Jordan was not backing down from wearing what he wanted and found a way to still go to the prom with a date. Bill was happy that Jordan did not let him losing his man make him start to conform. Jordan was well on the march to be his own person. Bill knew people had to be free to be who they were from his given name. It was Tecumseh. Bill was named after his father's favorite general. Naming their eldest son after their favorite general was a tradition in the Kerr family. It was a way to give them a role model to emulate when they take part of another tradition of that clan, joining the army. Bill's father admired Jen Sherman's determination, so his eldest was named Tecumseh. Bill only followed his namesake by agreeing that war is hell, give your all to attain your goal, and changing his name. Knowing the true horror and cost of war, Bill was the first of the eldest Kerr's boys in 6 generations not to join the military. Because of Bill forgoing the tradition, his father refused to help with any of the cost of his eldest son's higher education. The man who was making his own future was able to obtain his degree from CMU in electrical engineering by working at the university full-time overnights. Bill wanted a clean break from the military traditions of his family, so he legally changed his name to William. Picking William was a way to rebel against his father, Patton Kerr, wanting to uphold the ways of the family. Bill still had Sherman's name, but on his own terms. The man who knew true happiness was by forging your own way in the world was stunned by how beautiful his son was in that prom gown. To Bill, the job of the parent was to help their children become strong enough to be their authentic selves. Jordan's strides in that gown made the loving father know that his eldest had the strength to match Hercules. Jordan had the strength to wear that gown like he owned it, and Bill could not have asked for anything more from his son. Seeing that smile on his father's face made Jordan become even more radiant in the pastel blue and yellow polka dot strapless midi gown. Those polka dots matched the yellow of the sun, and Jordan found that fitting. The sun is just the formal name of the closest star to the earth, and this dress helped bring out the stardust in Jordan to make him shine. Jordan loved how his gold heels, purse and faux golden pearls necklace and bracelet accented the outfit. After the mini photo shoot, Bill suggested to his son to put on a different dress and those two would go out and have curry for dinner. It made total sense to Jordan's dad for many reasons. His wife, Yennefer, was working late tonight, so it was only those two. The only thing in the fridge ready to cook was some hot dogs. His wife would love having some aloo chana bolti with rice and garlic naan waiting for her when she came home. It would be a waste on how great of a job Jordan did on his makeup to not go out. Plus, Bill did not want to cook or do dishes. Jordan knew Ross, along with Seth and Kenny, would love some curry, so he suggested to his dad that they pick them up. Bill thought that was a great idea. He knew that curry was always better when shared with a group, and he enjoyed his son's friends' company. They made Jordan's old man not feel so old and helped him stay connected to his convictions of people should be who they were. Ross was just in his basement chilling and watching YouTube with Seth Ambrose and Kenny Kowalski. They were in the mood to do something but could not come up with anything. The three friends were being particular today about the entertainment for the evening. They did not want to do anything just for the sake of doing something. In the words of Kenny, the idea would have to be bang up to get them out of their hangout. Ross' phone rang and it was Jordan with the bang up idea those three were looking for. He invited them for curry with his dad. They loved hanging out with Jordan's dad. He treated them like adults and made it so they believed that they could hold on to their convictions even when they were well into adulthood. Ziggy happened to be walking into school at the same time as Steph. Even with those two sharing as much in common as an anvil and a parachute, they both engaged the other in a conversation. Steph to score points with his girl Joy, he knew that he would need to build up as much goodwill with her so he could continue being his old self. Ziggy for he wanted to make sure that Steph felt welcomed by Joy's circle of friends. As soon as the two who were having a forced conversation walked into the school's lobby, they saw Jordan. Ziggy's date was wearing a pencil denim skirt and white puff sleeves blouse. Jordan planned on wearing skirts and dresses all week to totally embrace his feminine side. He wanted to be in touch with it at the prom, so he got the most enjoyment out of having her in the foreground. Steph and Zig could not help but to notice Jordan. The man in the skirt was sparkling, and the glow coming from him added to the shimmer of the silver which was weaved into vertical stripes down the blouse. Steph was happy to see Jordan while with Ziggy. It would give him a chance to joke with Joy's best friend about his date. It had the added bonus of being able to make Ziggy look bad to Jordan. Steph was under the false impression the only reason Ziggy was taking that boy to the prom was to make others think he was a good person. Ziggy could not be as nice as he plays off in public. It got better for Steph when Jordan's smile got bigger seeing them and he started to walk towards them. Jordan wanted to share the picture of him in his prom dress with Ziggy. He wanted to explain why instead of going with the bow tie and cummerbund which came with the tux, he should use the one which Jordan bought for Dave's suit. Steph waited until Jordan was in earshot to say there's your date to the prom and he looks so pretty today. Those words fazed both Ziggy and Jordan as much as fans booing at home affected the visiting team. Ziggy and Jordan knew exactly what Steph was doing and was disappointed in Joy's man. Ziggy knew that there had something special about Steph because of Joy's feelings for him. He just wished that the boy would show it more often. Jordan wanted that stardust which Steph was made out of to start to shine. Keeping the beat of the conversation better than Neil Peart, Zig said, "Yes, he does." Hearing how Ziggy's positive affirmation of that little boy's joke made Jordan feel even better. That statement made Jordan's concerned about his date was going to need some time to relax being with a man in a dress at the prom were dismissed. Jordan did not want to subject Ziggy to another smart comment from the idiot Steph, so he called off showing the picture right then. Ziggy, if you don't mind, at lunch I want to show you a picture of me in my gown. Steph saw a chance of adding another rib to both of those two and took it quicker than a child ate a slice of birthday cake. I would love to see it also. Jordan knew either way he was going to have to hear more stupid comments coming from Steph and thought what better time than right now. It would be best to get it out of the way. Jordan, I will love to see it now. The boy who loved his prom dress was more than happy to show it. He knew that Ziggy's confidence in who he would act like armor against the arrows Steph was firing at him. I have the perfect tie and pocket handkerchief to go with my dress. They are blue with small yellow polka dots on them. I was going to give them to Dave. Too bad you cannot rent a yellow suit like Dave's. That would have went so perfect with my dress. Steph said, yeah, too bad Ziggy, you two would have looked like the perfect couple then. Ziggy knew exactly what suit Dave was going to wear and owned the same one. Steph, don't worry Jordan, and I will look like the perfect couple. I have the same yellow suit as Dave. The golf team all bought the same suit to wear when we traveled to the state championship match last year. Ziggy continued talking while changing the directions of his comments to Jordan. I would love to keep them, for they will go great with that suit, and also it would be a little memento of our night at the prom. Jordan said, of course you can keep them. It is sweet you want to remember the night, plus I have nothing which goes with that tie. Also, I forgot you are on the team with my man. Sorry, I mean Dave. I love golf, but Dave just gets too competitive during those matches. That game is a great way to relax while having a walk in nature. It is so hard to play around with him during the season because he is so worried about improving his game. Ziggy understood why Dave could be a killjoy on the course. Dave got a full scholarship to Wake Forest to play on their golf team. Ziggy's teammate needed to make sure that he never lost the edge of being competitive. That edge rubbed off on the rest of the team and was how they made it to the state final. Yeah, Dave can be pretty intense on the course. I also love just relaxing when playing around. We should play around Saturday morning at the after prom. I will set up a 9 o'clock tea time. Steph walked away from those two. It irked him that he did not get the reaction out of them which he wanted. Those two laughed because they were like rubber and Steph was like glue. His attempts to get under their skins bounced off of them and stuck to him. It might have been childish to get enjoyment to see him sulk away, but they did not care. Before they went to start their day, Ziggy said he was happy he was escorting Jordan to the prom and they were going to have a great time. Jordan agreed. That little conversation between Ziggy, Steph and Jordan was too juicy for their fellow classmates around them to ignore what was said even if they wanted to. How succulent that little conversation was made it too tantalizing not to share. They might have witnessed the start of a new romance and also a reveal about Ziggy. People loved sharing good news. If two people finding love while going to the prom was not good news, then nothing was. Right up there with sharing good news was people letting others in on revelations. If Ziggy being gay was not surprising, then nothing was. Many people thought he was in love with his best friend, Joy. The gossip made it to Joy before her first class started. The rumors of those Ziggy and Jordan flirting and how Steph tried to make light of how they felt was even juicier than yesterday's big story of the prom date. That meant it traveled even faster. Joy was not happy hearing the hearsay. First, Ziggy was not gay, he could not be. There would be nothing wrong with her best friend wanting to be with a man, but it just did not feel right. She would have known before others. People saying what was untrue about Ziggy made the girl wished more people would just mind their own business. Joy also was not happy about hearing that Steph was up to his old tricks. Why did that boy of hers need to always be joking around? He should be more encouraging to other people instead of trying to get a laugh by making people uncomfortable with who they are. It was like Steph needed to ridicule what was different so he felt good about his decisions. Lastly, Joy was hurt about the round of golf those two were going to play. It was on Saturday and she planned on spending the entire morning being with Ziggs. She knew her best friend good enough to know that he made sure that they would still have breakfast together. Joy just wanted it not to feel rushed and Ziggs having plans right after it would her feel like they would be hurried. The first person who found out about Joy's displeasure was Beth. Beth could not help herself and joked about being right about Ziggy's sexuality yesterday. To Beth, it was just a harmless joke. To Joy, it was anything but harmless. Joy took it as Beth believing the gossip for it helped make her narrative about Ziggy true. Joy saw seeing true what was not as Beth covering up that she would much rather her at the prom with Ziggy than her date Ian Cornell. You know that Ziggs is not gay. You just hate the fact that he never flirted back with you when you liked him. Beth was pissed that her friend went for the same put down in response of her going for the same joke about Ziggy. In Beth's eyes, her friend needed new material. The lady who did not like being reminded of the past told herself it was the lameness of the joke which got to her. Beth liking Ziggy was true last year, but that was distance history for the high school senior. A year in the social life of a high school student equaled a decade of normal time. Yeah, she still might like to flirt with Ziggy and would go out with him, but Beth convinced herself that crush, which was now small, was a thing of the past. Lighten up, you need to quit being so serious. I know he is not gay, it was a joke. I swear I can't even talk with you anymore. Good, then don't. There you go, taking things too serious again. There you go, giving out what you can't take again. The next person who got a taste of Joy's displeasure was Steph. Joy did not waste any time by saying hi to give her boy that bitter taste he deserved. I thought I told you to quit it. The confused boy said, "What are you talking about?" You know what I am talking about. You joking about Ziggy and Jordan. I told you that was not funny and you should be acting more grateful towards my Ziggs. Hearing that gave Steph a way to show his anger. The boy who wanted to be seen in the best light possible would talk about Ziggy going behind his back. Steph knew that Joy hated people doing that. Steph did not want to get into a fight with Joy. He was trying to be cool about Joy being annoyed with his actions. He only needed to put up with her for a couple of more months. He could take her nagging for that long if it meant he had a sure thing in the bedroom. Tell Ziggy if he has a problem with me to bring it up with me instead of you. He needs to man up. Ziggs said nothing to me. It is all around the school for people heard it. You don't know him and he is nothing like you. That is a good thing, for we would not have got back together if I was like him. I agree. We would never broken up. Our relationship would not be on again off again so much if you were dependable like him. Ziggs says that you just need to mature some and will be an even greater guy for me to be with than you are now. He doesn't know me and I'm already a great guy for you. Yeah, he doesn't. He would not always stick up for you if he knew how you talked bad about him. Steph knew he was going to have to bite the bullet and start to make up right then. If they fought this close to prom, there was a chance Joy would not be in the mood for his after-prom plans. Sorry, babe. I love you and just get upset when you are upset. I know Ziggy did not mean anything by saying I need to change. He just doesn't understand how passionate our relationship is, and that leads to fights. We are still learning how to deal with two strong people being together. Steph waited to find out if the insincere words sounded sincerely enough to his audience of one. He knew they should be, for he said what Joy wanted to hear with conviction. When Joy's face started to shine like new porcelain, Steph knew she bought his words. Even with this being planned time together, Steph wanted out of there as quick as possible. If he left, there would be no chance his true feelings about their fight would betray his acting. "Babe, I need to get going and talk to Ms. Foreman before class. Love you." Joy did feel better after hearing what Steph said, but she wanted their little fights to stop. Steph might have changed, but the bickering did not. The bickering always came back. For some reason it seemed to have come back earlier. Joy did not know it, but the reason was for both of them were just going through the motions of being in a relationship. This time when they got back together, there was no honeymoon period. The reunited couple would always start the relationship all lovey-dovey at first. Then little things about him started to annoy her, and she knew little things about herself would start to annoy him. Joy knew she had to work on getting better about the little things she did and not letting his little things get to her. In truth, Joy should have only been working on the later, and Steph should also just let the little things not get to him. Steph bailing on Joy did not matter, she could just go see Ziggy now. Those two would talk and make more plans to hang out at the after-prom weekend. She knew that Steph would not want to do anything until Saturday evening. He was never much of a day person. Joy liked hanging out and chilling in the afternoon most of the time, but Joy was not going to do that when everyone in their class was at Seven Springs Resort. There was just so much to do and too many people to see. Steph hanging out in the room without her would be fine to Joy. A couple did not need to be connected at the hip in her eyes. Seeing her best friend quickly made Joy's displeasure about her boyfriend quickly go away. How her Zig's eyes brighten up seeing her just made her feel so good about herself. What made her feel even better was Zig's greeted her with a hug. She did not have to say she needed one, he could just tell. Joy was waiting for the day when Steph knew her so well that he would do the same. During the conversation, Joy brought up that those two could go horseback riding on Saturday afternoon. She could tell that suggestion made her BFF feel bad. Maybe he was allergic to horses. Then she found out why when she asked him what was up. "Joy, I already made plans with Vince and John, their dates along with Jordan's friends, to go to the water park. I was waiting until I saw you with your man to invite you two along. It will be great. I thought that you would be spending the afternoon with Steph. It is prom weekend, I should not be the one monopolizing your time. It is a time for you two to make memories to share for the rest of your lives together. Oh. You know Steph, he is not big in doing things in the afternoon, especially after a night out. Then you two should spend a lazy day together, soaking up being back together. But if you like, I will go horseback riding with you." "No, Ziggs, you are right. I should be with my boy. Me and you will have our breakfast together to share. And also a walk before it. Instead of waiting for the shuttle bus to the main resort building, we can walk this nice little trail up to the restaurant. That trail comes out of the woods right at the patio where they serve breakfast. It will be a great, us two soaking up the bright morning sun while having breakfast al fresco." Joy could not shake the feeling that even with Ziggs being right, he was wrong. Those two needed to have more than just the breakfast together as their memory of prom weekend. She had Steph and thought that was going to be forever, but Ziggs would become less and less a main part of her life. They had 4 more years of being a daily occurrence in each other's life at Villanova, but after that they will go their separate ways. It gave the lady, who was mourning a future loss, comfort to know Ziggs planned making going to that breakfast special. That little hike in the woods would give her another mental souvenir of their friendship. It would be placed alongside of all the other great memories Joy had made with her zigs in her mental curio cabinet. Dave Pantyhose was feeling as good as a person with their first hangover. Jordan's ex was also like a person who had way too many the night before because he was the only one to blame for how he felt. Even with protesting about how Jordan should be wearing a tux to the prom, Dave knew it was his fault they were not going together. Worse, they broke up because he was too bullheaded to give in. Dave never even imagined that Jordan would find a date with another man at this close to the prom. Without a date, he thought that by prom night Jordan would give in and wear a tux. Dave would have said the reality of Ziggy and Jordan going to the prom was impossible. There were not that many high school students who were confident enough in their sexuality to come out as gay. Then the few men who would want their men to be in a tux when dressed for a night out. A sharp-dressed man holding in while they dance was his dream prom date. That sharp-dressed man should be Jordan. What made the situation worse for the lovelorn man was that he liked when Jordan would wear dresses and skirts. Jordan had long slender legs and a short skirt really showed off the moth, and Dave was a legs man. To him nothing beats a sexy pair of legs. He also liked how confident Jordan was about wearing what he wanted to wear. Seeing someone being who they were not only gave Dave the confidence to be who he was, to let others know he was gay, and also to ask Jordan out. Dave doing both at the same time was one of his favorite memories. Those events also changed his life. It was 4 years ago, their freshman year, on the Friday of the first home football game for MT Lebanon. That meant it was School Spirit Day. The school was a sea of blue and gold. All the football players were wearing their jerseys, the cheerleaders and band were in their uniforms, and the majorettes were in their sweatsuits. Most of the student body were also in blue and gold. To Dave, the best outfit was Jordan's. He was wearing a gold blouse with a blue skirt. All Dave could think of was those legs. Even with Dave being as generic as a hamburger from a fast food restaurant, he knew he had to ask Jordan to the game. The only reason Dave was bland was because he felt like he had to hide himself so others did not figure out he was gay. Just saying he was gay would not add any flavor to Dave. That statement without action would have felt like a feeble attempt for attention, plus just declaring something was not his real style. The real style Dave envisioned himself having was going for the brass ring, and right then Jordan, his dream boy, was that brass ring. Dave walked up to Jordan full of confidence. Even with being sure he was going to be rejected as his classmates were that they were going to win tonight, the boy who wanted to be the best version of himself had no fear. He knew each step was bringing him closer to being who he actually was. Plus, Jordan was a friend, so he would let Dave down as gentle as possible. How could Jordan say yes? The only thing Dave had going for him right then was he had potential to be a great man. Him reaching for that potential made Dave start to glow to Jordan. Reaching for their true potential was the one quality which Jordan was looking for in a boyfriend, so little did Dave know the answer was going to be yes. The boy in a cute outfit knew what he saw as what Dave was approaching him, a person who knew were reaching for their true potential and letting the stardust inside shine. Seeing someone start their journey to be the best they could be put a smile on Jordan's face. That someone being a smart and charming friend made the smile even bigger than normal. Dave said, "Jordan, I would love to go to the game tonight with you." Jordan's intuition told him that Dave was the boy for him. That those two would help each other grow into the best men they could be. He quickly said yes and twisted his wrist to offer Dave his hand to hold. Dave took Jordan's hand and felt at home. The man who evicted himself from his own home saw Steph in the halls. Dave might not have the official title of Jordan's boyfriend, but that technicality was not going to stop him from acting like he still was. Dave was going to make sure Steph learned better manners. "Hey, watch what you are saying about Jordan." I only gave a compliment. I said he was pretty. Oh, shut up and listen to me. I know you look down at him for being who he is. Your cute comments to your friends have a way to get around the school. Other people, like me, overheard them. You were too far away from me saying anything right then, but I will now. I might not be with him right now, but I do not like anyone talking down about him or anyone else just for being themselves. Steph did not like anyone telling him what to do and knew the perfect way to get back at the man who was telling him to mind his manners. Ah, it is cute that you still love your ex. Too bad you will have to wait for the perfect gentleman, Ziggy, to mess up. Jordan is going golfing with him on Saturday. Jordan was wearing skin-tight black capri pants with a bright pink t-shirt, flats and a smile when he walked into physics. The smile came from feeling good about embracing his feminine side and Ross's quip of he could rock that outfit better than Jordan. His best friend's statement was the same pithy remark as always when Jordan wore something feminine and in Ross's colors. The good feeling came from Jordan knowing that the joke had some truth in it. Ross would own wearing that outfit because of his colors and not care what anyone said. Jordan was feeling good when he walked into physics. His mood got better seeing the guy who was his prom date. He took his seat next to Ziggy and a hint of vanilla and cinnamon came along with him. As his prom date took his seat, Ziggy started to think of Joy. Unconsciously noticing that scent was what brought thoughts of his best friend to Ziggs. Thinking of his best friend always made Ziggy's mood better and he wanted to share the happiness with others. The man, who wanted to have others feel like him, could tell that Jordan was pleased with how he looked and said, "You look great today." Jordan turned redder than the stripes on the American flag from the compliment. He was not used to men, other than his ex, ever saying anything positive about his looks when dressed feminine. Those kind words made Jordan know that his date was going to be a gentleman at the prom and treat him like a lady. Ziggy was going to make sure that Jordan felt as beautiful as he looked. Jordan said, "Thank you. It is easy to look good when one feels good." I added to my confident one by wearing Heartbeat. "I just love how that smells on me." Excitingly, Ziggy said, "That is by Zoxo. I love that smell. I bought that perfume for Joy 2 Christmases ago." As he extended his slender arm, Jordan jokingly asked Ziggy if he wanted to get a better smell as he offers Ziggy a sniff. Ziggy was feeling playful and went along and sniffed. He then said, "That scent does work on you well." Jordan continued the banter by saying, "I would say, if I didn't know better I would say you were flirting with me, Mr. Van Dymen." Ziggy kept it up by saying, "Who to say that I am not, Mr. Kerr?" Even with the class being physics, those two had chemistry. Their friendship was growing and both of them were going to be so much more comfortable at the prom with each other. The two men who were going to the prom together knew it was harmless flirting. Jordan might not be with Dave, but his heart still belonged to his ex, and Ziggy did not feel anything sexual towards Jordan. Even with the little exchange between those two being playful, the eavesdroppers did not take it that way. Seeing the joking around as what it really was would not be as juicy as it being those two starting the courtship ritual. The interaction the Nebnoses just witnessed being the prologue of a romance would be something to talk about. Them wanting to hear their own voice made it clear that those two were flirting. Soon the rest of the school would know. Rumors were like sleds, they made tracks. These tracks made the circulation of other related rumors faster. The good news of a new couple in love was all around the school by the end of the next period. So the Jordan and Ziggy were a couple express rolled down the tracks and made 3 stops at Beth Station by the start of the next period. That revelation made Joy taking offense and getting defensive about Beth joking around yesterday to now make sense. Ziggy's sexual preference must be a secret they shared, and Joy did not want it to get out before her friend was ready for people to know. Protecting each other was what friends did. Ziggy liking men also made Beth understand why him and Joy never were a couple. Those two were so close and meshed together well. The reason was there was no chance of sexual tension between them. Unreciprocated sexual tension was the biggest cause of platonic relationship between the sexes to end during high school. It was hard to maintain a level of closeness when one person wanted the relationship to be more than the other. It becomes easier when people become more mature. Beth was happy for Ziggy was now showing his true self and not hiding it anymore. A person was not able to reach their full potential if they were holding back part of who they were to others. For the world to be the best, everyone in it has to be at their best also. The lady who now felt closer to Ziggy knew she had to apologize to Joy as soon as possible. Not listening to her friend when she told her to stop was wrong. That communication breakdown caused a rift between those two and it needed to be repaired. Jordan saw Dave sitting alone in the corner of the cafeteria facing the wall. The senior entering the lunchroom did not like seeing the sight one bit. Professional wrestling was real as Jordan's ex sitting alone was normal. Jordan went to join him to see what was wrong. They might not be a couple anymore, but Jordan was hoping that one day soon they would get back together. Jordan knew it was bad when the sad man's answer to "Do you mind did I join you" was "Nope, go ahead." That answer was dull. Jordan could not see any of the stardust inside Dave shining, so he went straight to the point of asking what was wrong. Dave said, "Nothing." Dave's answer was a lie. Dave did not want to bother anyone with his issue, let alone the man who he thought moved on from him so soon. To Dave there should have been more time before he heard about Jordan being with another man. To top it off, it was Ziggy. Those two being a couple made no sense. Ziggy never showed any interest in men before. Preferences do not change overnight. Jordan might have been in a very feminine phase of his gender fluidity, but that did not change the fact that Jordan was all man. Jordan did not like how that man sitting across from him reverted back to how he was before they got together. "Sweetie, we were together for almost 4 years, so don't say nothing. We might not be a couple right now, but I know you. I love and care for you and I want to know what is bothering you. Love and care for me enough to be going to the prom with another man. You are the one who called off going to the prom. I always dreamt of wearing a nice gown to the prom. You know I always been the woman of our relationship. That doesn't mean you need to dress like one on our big night out. I can dress how I want." Hearing those words reminded Dave about the conversation he had with Ziggy. Ziggy was able to handle Jordan being in a dress at the prom, so Ziggy was the better man for the man who owned Dave's heart. "Sorry, I know. I am just hurt that you and Ziggy are already together." Jordan held in his laughter. That statement was daft, but treated it seriously. Jordan knew that Dave believed what he said. "I am not with Ziggy, we are just going as friends." "What makes you think we are?" "Jay, please don't try to protect me. I heard about you two in physics class. Sweetie, Ziggy and I were just joking around. I am not ready to be with anyone else other than you. Also, even if I was, Ziggy wants a girl who has more up here and less down there." The man who was trying to comfort Dave pointed first at his chest and then at his groin when saying the last part. Dave smiled at the joke and said, "Sorry, it should be me taking you to the prom. Let's get back together. I messed up. Let me take you to the prom. Let's get back together, but I cannot let you take me to the prom. There is only 3 days until the prom and it would not be fair to Ziggy for me to back out. He would understand, he did the same for Joy." The only reason he did it for Joy was because he knew Steph could not handle his woman being with another man at the prom. Even with it being just two friends together, that little boy of hers would be too jealous. I will be jealous if another man took you to the prom. If you will be too jealous of me being with a friend, then we should not get back together. Unlike Joy, I do not deal with little boys. As Steph was walking towards Joy to join his girl on their way out of lunch, the boy thought about how he always joked to himself that Ziggy was gay. He now knew why he laughed when doing so. The best jokes were always based at least a little in the truth, and Ziggy was into men. The boy was amazed that he did not figured out that fact earlier. First, what real man would be like Ziggy? Also, he turned down the advances of Beth. What red-blooded man could? Her looks were like a hard fall, breathtaking. Plus, Beth had a great personality and was talented with her camera. Lastly, him being gay explained why Ziggy was such close friends with Joy. In Steph's world, boys and girls could not be friends with each other. Steph and Joy started to talk about the day as they were leaving lunch. That daily walk to their next classes was a couple of shared moments the couple had. The stroll was used to keep updated about the happenings in each other's life and around the school. Those two did not spend lunch together while eating because Steph felt that Joy hampered him and his boys from being boys. Steph and his friends could not have locker room talk with her around. Steph broached the subject of Ziggy and Jordan. He knew that was on her mind. The man, who wanted Joy's good side, made sure to be serious about what he found funny, Ziggy being a pecker puffer. There was only 3 days to the prom and Steph did not want to lessen his chances to get some. The real reason Steph found Ziggy being gay as funny was he was scared of how close that boy was with Joy. Steph was now relieved from the fear of losing Joy to Ziggy. If pressed, he would realize that fact. The boy, who was insecure about his relationship, knew that Joy would never cheat on him or that Ziggy was not the type of man who'd be with another man's girl, still he did not like it. If Ziggy ever declared his love for Joy, Steph's subconscious knew that she would drop him in a heartbeat. Steph was Joy's fallback boy. The worst part was he had to be friendly with the guy who could take his place in any moment. This tension led to him never getting as attached to Joy as he should have or wanted to. His harmless comment elicited exactly what he did not want, Joy's wrath. Hearing that rumor being spoken so matter-of-factly by her boy evoked fear in Joy's soul. For some reason, Ziggy being gay made Joy scared that she would not be as close to him as she wanted to. For some reason, Ziggy being gay made it so those two did not work out as well together as before. Now, they were more of a substitute for each other instead of a complement. Ziggy wanting men also ruined how Joy pictured the future, her and her husband and Ziggy and his wife being close friends. She pictured going out for Sunday brunch, her and Ziggy sitting next to each other and the faceless man and woman across the table from them. Then after brunch, her and her Ziggs would spend some alone time together to keep their friendship close, while the other two would do whatever. Joy told her man to never repeat that lie again. Steph used the logic that everyone was saying it, so it must be true. That flawed argument did wear down some of Joy's resolve to not believe the hype. Coming closer to terms with the future not having as much of Ziggy in it as she wanted made Joy lash out even more. She did not want to face that truth. She left their time together abruptly and told Steph she was taking the bus home. The boy who was blindsided was truly apologetic. The majority of the feeling of repentance came from him wanted Joy to be in the best mood possible for the prom. A minority of it was from him not liking to see his fallback girl upset. She might be only fit in his short-term plan, but Steph cared about her as a person. He saw her as a great person, just not the one. A couple of periods later, Steph was blindsided once again by Joy. This time the unsuspected action came via an apologetic text from Joy. It also asked him to get a hall pass. Joy came to the acceptance of her zigs being gay when she talked to Beth. Beth was serious about knowing she crossed the line with the joking earlier this week. Then Joy's friend stayed calm while facing the storm of Joy's anger about the subject. Instead of trying to defend her statement about Ziggy being gay, Beth was there for a friend who felt hurt by the truth. Beth knew that the anger was from how Joy found out about her best friend's secret. It had to hurt that Ziggy did not open up to Joy. Joy found it impossible to refute Beth's logic about Ziggy being gay. No single man could resist the temptation to at least flirt back with Beth, yet so many times, Ziggy did. The feeling of loss of her future with Ziggy made Joy look past how untrue Beth's statement was. It was true, no single boy could resist taking the chance to get with that stunning beauty named Beth. Hell, the only reason most boys in a relationship could were they were scared of losing what they already had. A bird in hand was better than a better bird in the bush. The flaw in Beth's logic was Ziggy was not a boy, but a man. He never played back with the flirting, for he saw that story play out multiple times with Beth. Beth's interest in the supporting character in this tale was feigned. The protagonist would always lead a boy on to get him interested enough to chase her. Then the climax, where the poor boy who finally wanted to go from flirting and dating to going steady always had the same outcome, Beth saying no. The girl, who enjoyed being chased but not getting caught, always used the same reason why she did not want to get more serious. The so-called object of her desire were only after her because of her looks. Ziggy felt bad for Beth telling and retelling this tragedy over and over again. It was like her dating life was on an endless repeat cycle. He knew the drama was from Beth not feeling good about herself. That she used others wanting her to temporarily boost her self-worth. Ziggy would have been open to her flirting if Beth saw herself how any true man did. She was a total package. Her outer beauty was insignificant to the inner beauty trapped inside her. Once she let that stardust she was made out of shine, it would be hard for anyone not to be blinded by what was genuinely the most beautiful part of Beth, her true potential as a person. Ross had second lunch, so he did not get to sit with Jordan. Instead, he sat with Ben Skorvanko and his crew. The only reason he sat with them was they knew each other since before kindergarten from being from the same neighborhood in Mount Lebo. To Ross it was no big deal that he was not with his crew. They spent time together before and after school. Plus, one does not grow as a person when surrounded by the same people all the time. Ross and his friends never had lunch together when in high school. Everyone who hung out in Ross's basement after school joked that they got broken up into the 3 different lunches because Principal Patterson would not take the chance of having too much awesomeness in a confined space. Ben was a typical high school senior. He did not think before he opened his big mouth. He made a comment about Jordan being a little slutty by getting with Ziggy so quickly after breaking up with Dave. Ben meant no harm with what he said, but it caused harm to his weak bond of friendship with Ross. Ross had 2 big issues with that off-the-cuff comment. One, he knew that Ziggy and Jordan were not a couple. Jordan was still in love with Dave. The other big issue was that Ben was holding Jordan up to a higher standard than he held himself or other males. Just this past fall, Ben was with his new girl, Helen Rogan, right after dumping Becky Klink. It irked Ross that Ben was holding females up to a different standard than males. Ross's best friend was male, but he knew that the troglodyte sitting across from him was treating Jordan like a female. Ross, being mostly a typical high school senior, had to defend his friend. Ben, that is such a profound and true assessment of Jordan. How did you become so wise and able to read people so well? Ben looked as confused as an American trying to use the metric system. Then Ross converted his statement to imperial for his dumbfounded lunch companion to understand. "Oh, I thought we were making statements which were demonstrably false." "You have no right to say that about Jordan. Jordan and Ziggy are only going to the prom as friends. Even if they weren't, you got with Helen the night you broke up with Becky. Was that slutty of you?" "Calm down, I meant nothing by that." "If you meant nothing, then say nothing." Joy was not the only one who was having a bad day from that rumor about Ziggy and Jordan. The man, who was going to be pretty at the prom, along with his date, were also. People thinking that those two were a couple did not bother Jordan. People passing bad judgment on him and Dave not knowing the truth until Jordan told him did. The whispers that Jordan was a slut and that he never loved Dave did start to get to him even more. He loved embracing his feminine side, but thought it was so unfair that if he did not wear a dress no one would say anything about him having a new prom date. If Jordan acted more like a man, he knew that the people would be saying that he was just getting back on the horse. Some of the same people who Jordan defended about their sexual activity were joining in calling him a slut behind his back. The hurtful words were not the reason of Jordan's pain. Also, how those words affected Dave was a reason for the pain. The pain came from the hallways of the school not shining as much as it used to. The stardust, which was in his fellow classmates, was dulled by them not reaching for their true potential. The world would not keep on becoming a better place if these people were not reaching to be their best. Even with Dave knowing the truth, Jordan was concerned that those negative words about their time at each other's side would hamper his ex's journey to letting himself fully shine. Jordan was also concerned that those words would destroy any chance they had of getting back together after the prom. That man in capri pants loved Dave and so wanted to get back with him and could have at lunch, but did not. If Jordan and Dave were meant to be together, then Dave would understand that Jordan needed to keep his word to Ziggy. He was not going to back out of going to the prom with Ziggy. Dave should know that Ziggy took a huge chance by saying yes, and Jordan's date for the night reward should not be getting dropped when a better option came along. The smell of the renewal of nature was in the air as Joy and Ziggy walked home together after being dropped off by the bus. It was fitting to Joy that the season of rebirth was when also her friendship with her Ziggs changed for the better. She was a little hurt that he did not tell her about who he really was, but understood. Past experiences told her that sometimes the best words to use to state something important were actions. Words took people believing what was said, where actions made what needed to be believed seen. It was hard for people to not believe what they have seen. This news was something which needed to be seen. Joy knew that if her Zig said he was gay, she would have laughed it off as a joke. Even with wanting to start exploring the changes in their friendship, Joy was going to wait until they got to her house to do so. Ziggy's closest friend was going to do what she always did when she wanted to talk, invite him in for a drink. The lady who was ready to be there for her friend who was always there for her knew it was still a touchy subject for Ziggy, so they should wait until they were in her room to talk. Also, she wanted to get to the juicy parts of liking men with her Ziggs. She wanted to hear about anything he did with another man. They could exchange pointers about how to please men and also share how they like to be pleased by men. This talk was going to make them even closer. Sharing something as personal as what you like while being intimate strengthened the bonds of friendship. Ziggy also wanted to talk, but for another reason. Unlike Joy's reason not being true, Joy's closest friend was. Ziggy was concerned about her taking the bus home today. He saw how upset Joy was after talking with Steph and wanted to make sure she was all right. JPY's best friend felt guilty that he already got another date for the prom. Joy having to go stag and him having a date was not right. First, it was easier for a man to go to a prom solo. Ziggy was kicking himself for not saying yes to Jordan. Also, Ziggy knew that having a great man at her side was a huge part of Joy's dream night at the prom. Wanting an escort was not because Joy needed a man to enjoy life, the reason was for she wanted the prom to be her first real night out with a man. The night would be a truly memorable evening if it was filled with romance, dancing, and great company. Ziggy knew he could provide 2 of them, and everyone knows that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Ziggy asked Joy if he could have something to drink right before she was going to offer him one. That question meant that he wanted to talk to her about something, and Joy believed she knew what that something was. Her Ziggs was finally going to open up to her about his sexual orientation. This was more than just being there for a friend, it was an honor. Joy swelled with pride when she said yes. As they went into the Eno's residence, Ziggy quickly said hi to Mrs. Eno. She returned the greeting and went back to reading her book. Ziggy was the only boy who was allowed in Joy's room. This was for the trust Mr. and Mrs. Eno had in Joy's best friend. The trust came from him being there for Joy and also for them. That young man was always helpful and offered to lend a hand to Mr. Eno when he needed help in moving some furniture from his parents' home. Mr. Eno brought it up in conversation at a 4th of July picnic while talking with Steph and Ziggs. The topic was just part of the small talk. Joy's dad could never find a topic to talk with Steph. That boy had some annoyingly ill-informed opinions about the world. Both Steph and Ziggy thought it was Mr. Eno indirectly asking for help. Their responses to someone needing help showed their true characters. Steph came up with a vague excuse of already having plans for that day and Ziggy jumped at the chance. Mr. Eno knew that Steph's plans were the same as Ziggy's, nothing. Right then the man asked himself why doesn't his daughter like Ziggy instead of Steph. Joy joined her Ziggs with 2 bottles of Snapple and gave him one. They both placed the bottles down for the drink was only a pretense to talk. As always, the person who asked about having a drink started the conversation. So is everything all right with you and Steph? The protocol of them talking was always the person who needed to would bring up the topic right away. Them being able to be so forthright was from their close friendship. Joy did not like that Ziggy was not comfortable to follow the status quo. Yes, everything is fine. Why do you ask? I saw you storm off after talking with him and then you taking the bus home. I am just concerned that you 2 did not have another big fight so close to the prom. Ziggy caring about her relationship status warmed Joy's heart. Even with her friend about to share a huge part of himself with her, her Ziggs was looking out for her well-being first. Being there for the other was what their friendship was about. Neither were looking for what they could get out of the friendship, but how to be there to help the other be the best they could be. Joy hugged her Ziggs. Joy thought that there were many great things about her boy, but Steph could not make her feel so safe and warm with his hugs as her Ziggs did. No one else could make her feel that way, only her Ziggs. The hugs feeling so good and different from anyone else's now made sense. It was from her Ziggs being gay. The feelings in the hugs were solely from friendship. The hug was pure caring incarnate. Joy said, "Thanks for caring." Steph and I cleared that up. I took the bus home because I also wanted to talk with you. Tell the truth, I thought you were going to bring up what I wanted to talk to you about. I am so happy for you and Jordan. Hearing that, Joy believed the hype behind that rumor really hurt Ziggy. Other people coming to the same false conclusion did not bother him. In fact, Ziggy was making sure he did not correct anyone. Correcting someone made him feel like he was saying there was something wrong with being gay. If anyone would have asked, he would have told them the truth. Sadly, no one did. The juiciness of what they heard overrode them needing confirmation about if what was said was true. His fellow students took the non-denial as Ziggy giving confirmation to the rumor. Joy, thinking Ziggy was gay, felt as wrong to him as having his shoes on his wrong feet. This rumor needed to be known as false right away to Joy. It would lead to them not being as close, for one of the friends would see the other as who they were not. Knowing the other was what made the friendship so strong. Honest representation of oneself to the other was what kept it so those two knew each other so well. We are not a couple. Okay, not yet, but having your first date at the prom is such a good start. Jordan is going to be so lucky that you like him. You will help him forget about Dave. Joy, I am not gay. Ziggs, gay or bi, it is fine. You know that I love you no matter what. I do know it is fine and you would love me if I was, but I am not gay. Come on, the entire school knows that you are. If you were not ready to be out in the open, you should not have asked Jordan to the prom. Also, flirting with him in class today does not help keeping it private. I understand you coming out to Jordan first, but I thought after people were talking about it you would open up to me. If I was gay, I would have told you already. I do not keep anything from you. I can't. You know that, Jay. I do not understand why you are taking their words over mine about who I am. Jordan and I were just joking around in class, it was not serious. I thought that you would always believe me when I told you something. Oh, I do. It is just, admitting being gay is hard and you are just not ready to say those words. Ziggy got up and started to leave. Joy was hurt that she felt that her Ziggs was cutting her off from part of his life. This would start them to drift apart. In truth, she was cutting Ziggy out of her life and making them drift apart by listening to everyone else other than him. True closeness between people depended on trust between them. Joy not believing her best friend was what started to form a divide between them. Joy's pain came out in her words. So you are just going to leave instead of talking about it. Ziggy's voice also shared his pain when he said, if you would listen to me you would know that there is nothing to talk about.